Imagine this. Your spouse has been waiting for a green card interview for almost 2 years. Every week, you check the case status online, hoping for a change. Nothing moves. Then one night, you get a call from home. Your mother-in-law has been hospitalized, and your spouse desperately needs to travel, but the visa still has not been scheduled. You start searching everywhere, wondering if there is any way to push this process forward faster. And that is when you discover something most people never even knew existed. But here is what most people still do not realize. There is an actual, official process that can move a stuck immigrant visa case forward, and it is not a rumor, and it is not a shortcut through some agent online. It is a real government procedure, and today we are going to walk through exactly how it works, who qualifies, and how to avoid the mistakes that get most requests rejected. Let's start with the basics. Once USCIS approves a petition, like an I-130 for a family member, or a certain employment-based petitions, the case does not go straight to a U.S. embassy. It first goes to something called the National Visa Center, or NVC for short. The NVC is part of the U.S. Department of State. Its job is to collect your paperwork, your fees, your civil documents, your affidavit of support, and get everything ready before your case is sent overseas for the final interview. Here is the part that surprises a lot of people. This stage alone can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months under normal conditions. But right now, in 2026, normal is not what most families are experiencing. Case volumes are extremely high. Interview slots at embassies are limited. Staffing shortages continue at many posts around the world. And broader travel and visa restrictions have added even more pressure to an already overloaded system. So cases that used to take months are now sitting for a year, sometimes longer, with no clear answer on when an interview will finally happen. This is where many people make a mistake. They assume that once their case is complete, all they can do is wait. They check the online status every day, they call the NVC, and they hope. But there is actually a formal path that exists for exactly this kind of situation. It is called an NVC EXPEDITE request. Let's slow down here, because this is the part you need to understand clearly. An expedite request is not a way to skip the line just because you are impatient. The NVC will only consider moving your case ahead of others if you can show a genuine, documented hardship. This is not just a recommendation. In some cases, it is treated as a formal review process with real evidentiary standards behind it. So what actually qualifies? Based on official guidance, there are several recognized categories. A severe medical emergency, either involving the petitioner or the beneficiary, is one of the strongest reasons. This typically requires a letter directly from a physician or a medical facility, explaining the seriousness of the condition. Another major category is significant financial hardship, especially when a U.S. citizen petitioner is suffering because of prolonged family separation. Serious mental health challenges, including documented conditions like PTSD or major depression, can also qualify, particularly when there is professional evaluation supporting the claim. There is also a very time-sensitive category that many families do not think about until it is almost too late. This is when a child beneficiary is approaching the age of 21. Under immigration law, once a child turns 21, they may lose their eligibility to be included as a derivative beneficiary on a parent's case. This is often called aging out. If this deadline is approaching and a standard interview cannot be scheduled in time, this is one of the clearest, most accepted reasons for an expedite request. Beyond that, there are humanitarian circumstances more broadly, situations where someone urgently needs to be in the United States to provide essential care to a family member. And there is also a category for employment that serves the national interest, particularly relevant for certain employment-based green card cases. Now here is a critical detail that trips up a lot of applicants, and this is one of the biggest reasons expedite requests get denied. Your case usually must be what is called documentarily qualified before the NVC will even consider your expedite request. That means your fees need to be paid, your DS-260 form completed, your civil documents uploaded, and your affidavit of support and financial documents submitted. If you request an expedite before your paperwork is actually complete, it will almost certainly be rejected, not because your hardship isn't real, but simply because the case isn't ready to be acted on yet. There is another important limitation you need to know about, and this one surprises a lot of people. Even with a perfectly valid hardship and a fully documented case, the NVC cannot expedite a case if a visa number simply is not available yet. Immigrant visa availability is controlled by federal law, specifically under the Immigration and Nationality Act. If your priority date is not current according to the visa bulletin, there may be nothing the NVC can do, no matter how strong your reason is. This small detail creates a lot of confusion, so it is worth checking your priority date status before assuming an expedite will solve everything. So how do you actually submit this request? The process itself is fairly straightforward, but the details matter enormously. You prepare a written statement or letter that clearly explains the hardship, and you attach supporting evidence, things like a doctor's letter, a psychological evaluation, or documentation showing your child's upcoming birthday and the aging out risk. Then you email this request to the official NVC EXPEDITE address, which is nvcexpedite@state.gov. In your email, the subject line matters more than people realize. You want to include your NVC case number and invoice number clearly. Inside the body of the email, list the beneficiary's full name and date of birth, the petitioner's full name and date of birth, a clear explanation of why you are requesting the expedite, and at least 2 working phone numbers where the beneficiary can be reached. Skipping any of these details is one of the easiest ways to get your request delayed or overlooked entirely. Once submitted, most expedite decisions are communicated within 30 to 45 days. It is important to set realistic expectations here. An approval does not guarantee an immediate interview date. What it typically does is move your case into a category of priority scheduling, which can significantly shorten the wait compared to the standard queue. If your request is denied, your case simply continues through normal processing, and in most situations, you are allowed to submit a new request later if your circumstances change or worsen. You can also reach the NVC directly by phone if you have questions about your case or your request. For immigrant visa-related questions, you can call them at 603-334-0700. Customer service representatives are typically available Monday through Friday, from 7 a.m. to midnight, excluding federal holidays. Let's quickly recap everything, because this is a lot of information and it moves fast. First, the NVC handles the paperwork stage between USCIS approval and your consular interview, and this stage alone can now take many months longer than it used to. Second, an expedite request is a real, legitimate option, but only for specific, documented hardships like medical emergencies, financial hardship, aging out children, or national interest employment. Third, your case generally needs to be documentarily complete before an expedite will even be reviewed. Fourth, visa availability under the priority date system can override everything else, so check the visa bulletin first. And fifth, your request must be submitted correctly, with the right case details, the right documentation, and sent to the correct email address. If your case has been sitting at the NVC for months with no movement, you are not powerless. But you also cannot afford to guess your way through this process. One missing document, one incomplete form, one email sent without the right details, and your request can be delayed for no good reason. Immigration policy, visa processing times, and government procedures can shift without much warning, so always confirm the latest requirements directly through the official State Department and NVC websites before you submit anything. If someone in your life has a case stuck at the NVC right now, share this video with them. It might genuinely make a difference in how quickly their family is reunited. And if you want more clear, accurate breakdowns like this one. Make sure you subscribe, because we will keep tracking these changes so you do not have to face them alone.